Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host as always, Daniel Levi, and joining me now is Bantamweight prospect Damien Whitehead. Damien, welcome back to Half the Battle.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me.
Oh man, the pleasure's all mine. So, dude, you're coming off the biggest win of your career, and you told me the entire theme of this whole fight camp was redemption. Your last fight, it didn't go your way. You got caught. With a lot of fighters, they might quit the sport. They might say it's not for them. For you, you put your head down, you grinded, you came back with the biggest win of your career. I mean, do you feel vindicated?
Yeah, man. Especially coming off the type of loss I had. For those listening that don't know, I was TKO'd in 12 seconds. First time in training. First time in as long as I've been fighting. That I've ever been hit like that. It's the first time I've ever been finished, and period. I've never really been dropped before, so it definitely took a mental toll on me. It took me a couple of days to get my mind back right. It took me a couple of weeks to get my confidence back up. So going into that fight, taking a few hits, and just put on the performance that I put on, I felt great afterwards.
So, I mean, man, what were the nerves like going into that fight? Because, look, I saw you a couple weeks before. You were in the best shape of your life, but that's physically speaking. What was it like mentally leading up to the fight?
Man, I trained so hard for that fight. I felt almost no nerves, man. It was crazy. I've only felt that feeling one time, and that was before my first fight. And just going in there, I was super relaxed. I just knew at this point the training would pay off. I just put my faith in my coaches. I knew they taught me the right things, and I knew if I just executed exactly what they taught me, that was it.
Look, you've dominated 3 of your 4 fights, but for your one real loss against Nicholas Torrence, I mean, could you tell who really had your back after a fight like that?
Yeah, man, I could. It comes from all across Atlanta. And even stretches down to Florida, to my old gyms. You really realize who your real teammates are. You really realize who your real fans are, who your real friends are. I've had people from ATT Atlanta, ATT Gwinnett, over at Team Octopus, over at X3, here at Knuckle Up, back down to Reflex MMA down in Florida, American Top Team Coconut Creek. All those guys reached out to me after my fight, man, and it was really cool having the support that I had. Obviously you had some people that, kind of fell off the whole bandwagon. I'd come off a dominant performance in March and then fought Nicholas Torrence and in June. And, those guys that were kind of following the bandwagon, about the guy that's up and coming, those guys fell off, but that's cool. I saw who my real supporters are, who my real fans are, who my real friends are. So that was great.
So after the first round of your last fight with Mohamed Sadiq, you look the best you've ever looked. The leg kicks are on point. You're landing that right hand at will. When you go to sit, on the stool in the corner between rounds, I mean, what was going through your mind? Like, hey, man, I got this?
Yeah, so after the first round, me and my coach have a thing where they don't like me to sit down. So I go over to my corner, start talking to my coaches, and I'm just like all smiles, and I'm like, man, I don't know. It was just my strikes were landing, and he was landing some too. But when I wanted to land, I was almost landing everything I threw. I was like, I just really have to be careful for the takedown. And his takedown was surprisingly fast in that first round. His takedown in the second round was really good. His takedown in the third round was really good. He came in with a really good game plan. He has fantastic coaching over at Iron Clutch with Byron and Luke. So they're a fantastic team over there as well. But, man, I was all smiles exiting out of the first round. I was super confident. Even going to the second round, even after he took my back, I was still all smiles, all confidence. I don't know. There was just nothing that could break me at that point. After you've been at the most embarrassing level that you can hit, in my opinion, being knocked out or TKO'd in 12 seconds, there's not much the guy's going to do to you if you make it up the first round, if you make it up the second round. There's not much more embarrassing that happens. So,
yeah, that's a very good point. And I was going to ask you because, look, even though you had the most dominating performance of your career, it was still a fight. It's not like this guy was a pushover. And in the second round, he was able to take you down. He took your back. You had to overcome some adversity in that fight. Now, you just basically answered my question by saying that, look, you were still full of confidence even when he had your back. But, Damien, what was that exact moment? What was going through your head? Was it at all like, not this again, or was it like, you're not beating me tonight?
I was at that mindset. He wasn't beating me tonight. I even told my coaches in between the second and the third round after he took my back, I was like, he was gonna have to choke me out if he got a choke in. I wasn't tapping. I at that point I just refused. I heard even TKO'd, like what's being choked out compared to that. So that was, there was no way I was tapping out to that. But I tried to stay as calm as possible, control the wrist, and just relax and wait for my time.
Do you feel like it's almost a blessing in disguise that, you had such a bad loss? And let me preface that by saying that you've been through the worst already. So do you almost feel a sense of freedom in there that now you know what the worst is like and it's not really even that bad?
Yeah, man, that's 100% the truth. Like you said, I've dominated pretty much 3 out of 4 of my fights. Nicholas Torrance TKO'd me in 12 seconds. So that was the worst loss of my life. In my first fight, I was dominating the fight for basically all 3 rounds and then got caught in an armbar with like 30 seconds left. So, I've been through 2 pretty crappy losses there. I know what it's like to have it all and then lose it all. And I know what it's like to never, ever have an edge and literally get finished quicker than almost anyone on the card. So I've been through both ends. And, the whole theme of this is, put your head down, grind to the next one, and bounce back. Bounce back better than you were before. It's not about the wins. It's not about the losses. It's about your learning experience, especially for me, man. I'm an amateur. It's all about the learning process, all about, getting better each fight, never staying complacent in your skill set. It's just a growth for me. And day by day, I'm just growing as a martial artist, growing as a fighter, growing as a human being, growing as a man, growing as a coach. So every day I'm just learning little by little.
So where do you go from here, man?
From here, I'm taking the rest of this year off, actually. Hang out with family, see my friends, hang out with my friends a little bit for November, December. Obviously still train, get back to the drawing board, talk to my coaches, figure out all my mistakes from this last fight. And hopefully in 2018, I saw Jesse put a post on there for me versus Oscar. I think me and his styles contrast like beautifully. I think we put on an amazing fight. I think everyone would love the fight. These past couple months, I've become more of a striker than a grappler. Well, he'll make me become a grappler over a striker. So I think that's a good learning experience for both of us. Can my striking stop his takedowns? Can his takedowns stop my striking? Let's get it done. If not Oscar, then, I'll fight anyone in the NFC at the 135-pound division outside of my brother, obviously. I'll go down to Florida and fight for XFN. I'll go to Tennessee and fight for Valor. And this point, I'm just trying to grow, man, trying to get my name out there, trying to be known by the time I go pro.
So you told me the theme of this camp is redemption. And now that you've redeemed yourself, what would you tell people about overcoming adversity, not just in the cage, but, if they have things going on in their lives and it seems like it couldn't get any worse, what would you tell them about never giving up?
So let me tell you guys, man, the month of June was one of the toughest months of my life. Between just the personal issues that I had going on and then leading into that 12-second TKO, between both, to bounce back the way I did, all I did was I put my focus on one thing. Every day I thought, I was like, it can't get worse than it already is. Just look forward, never look back. Don't think about the old mistakes. Just look forward. Think about what can be positive. Think about where you can make it positive. If work is the only thing making your life positive right now, then guess what? Grind at work. Make work your best place. If the gym is what's making you happy, then grind at the gym and make it your best place. It's just finding your happy place in life, man, and enjoying every single moment of it. And don't let those negative things in your life slow you down or set you off track.
Now, earlier in the interview, you mentioned your brother, and he actually went out there and defeated Josh Mayer. You mentioned how you were dominating Josh Mayer. He caught you with a Hail Mary armbar with 30 seconds left in the fight. Your brother went out there and 30-27'd him. Did you at all feel, a sense of pride seeing, a Whitehead go out there and get a win over a tough guy like Mayer?
Yeah, man. It was great. It was great going out there and watch my brother win that fight. Josh improved so much, man. So I was even better for my brother, It was a completely different Josh that fought me. Completely different person. He didn't look exactly the same. I've been watching him for a couple months now, and I feel like for all his fights, he looked the same. But for this fight, he improved drastically. And for my brother to still go out there and win that fight, it meant the world to me. I know it meant the world to my brother to start off his amateur career 4-0. I know he wanted to fight Josh because Josh beat me. So yeah, it just comes to show, man. Like, and as far as Josh goes, like no matter where you start, like you could always improve. And for my brother, no matter what happens, like you can always find some way to win. Because that was a tough fight. They went toe to toe for 9 whole minutes. They went toe to toe all 3 rounds. So
Absolutely, they did. So, man, do you ever want to run it back with Josh Mayer, or do you kind of feel like that's in the past and you've moved on?
yeah, I look at all my old fights as in the past. If anything happens to where we have to fight again, sure. But I don't dwell on any losses. Like I said, I just look toward the future. I look towards, the next opponent. I don't ever look back and like, man, like my first amateur loss was against Josh Mayer. Like I have to fight him again. Like, no, it's cool. He beat me. He was he had a better game plan that night. It is what it is. Right now I'm, no shots at Josh Mayer, but right now I'm 2-1 at 135. He has 1 win and it's against me, but I'm 2-1 at 135. I'm trying to build my name up. If I fought Josh again, I beat Josh, then what does that do? That just puts a rubber match in there. And I fought the same guy 3 times as an amateur, which doesn't really mean anything. If we fight again, I want to fight him at the top. I want to fight the best Josh that's out there. And that way, if I beat him, it's like, yes, I beat the best Josh that's out there. I don't want to beat Josh right now, and he's still learning and still improving. I want to beat the best Josh that's out there. I have nothing but love for the guy, so I want him to be the absolute best, and then I'll fight him. And then, be the 2 best of us fighting, and then let's see who wins,
It sounds like you're more focused than ever, man. I mean, how far are you looking to take this?
I'm trying to make it all the way to the top, man. Trying to make it all the way to the top. Whether it be at flyweight or bantamweight, or if I bulked up a little bit and went to featherweight, it doesn't matter. I'm willing to take it wherever I can get it. I will be in the UFC one day, hopefully soon. Hopefully in the next couple of years. I will be in the UFC soon. And, I'm trying to take it all the way to the top. I'm trying to make this my career, so.
And how do you feel about your career progression, man? Because from your debut to now in your 4th fight, I mean, it's a completely different guy.
Yeah, I learned how to throw a jab and throw some straight punches. Yeah, man. I'm like I said, I'm just growing day by day, man. Every day I work on my striking. That fight taught me a lot. I abandoned my wrestling, and guess what? I got taken down at will every time he shot, except for the last time he took me down. So that just tells me now I need to go back to the drawing board. I need to work on my wrestling every day. I'm trying to just improve what I was last fight. I never want to go out there and be the same exact I was the fight before. And so that's all it is for me. It's evolving as a fighter every single time I step out there.
Well, Damon, I can't let you go without a couple fight predictions. I mean, this is half the battle, and GSP is taking on Bisping. 2 legends of the sport, man. I mean, who do you give the edge to? Because, look, GSP has been gone for 4 years. He's stepping up a weight class, and he's taking on the champ, Bisping.
I don't see Bisping beating GSP. GSP is known for knowing how to win. Whether he gets beat up in the fight or doesn't get beat up in the fight, he wins. And that's all it comes down to. At the end of the day, it's going to be winning. I don't think Michael Bisping's wrestling is good enough to stop GSP's wrestling. I just see GSP winning 100%. I don't see any flaws in his game, at least from 4 years ago. And, I mean, if he's even been touching up on training even a little bit, if he's half the person he was back then, he'll be just fine in that fight.
You're a bantamweight, and at the very highest level of the bantamweight division, Cody Garbrandt's defending his belt against TJ Dillashaw. I mean, who do you think is going to walk away as the number 1 135-pounder on planet Earth that night?
Those are my 2 absolute favorite bantamweights active right now, currently. It depends on the fight goes, man. If TJ can establish his range, he has a little bit of a longer reach. He has about a 69-inch reach, and Cody has, I believe, 65, 66-inch reach. If TJ can establish his reach a little bit and keep it out of range and keep Cody out of boxing range, TJ has a very good shot. But if Cody gets inside, man, he's a dangerous motherfucker, man. He's dangerous. He's hit people harder than I hit pretty freaking hard, and he's hit people harder than I can imagine hitting somebody. So I don't know, man. That's gonna be a good fight. I think it's going to come down to coaching. I think if I had to make a prediction, I would say probably TJ Dillashaw by decision. I don't see TJ finishing Cody. And I think TJ's experience against Renan Barão and his 5 rounds against Dominic Cruz, and just the fact that he's been in the UFC a little bit longer and has more title fights, I think that will help him out just a little bit more as far as the composure goes. Cody was able to get into Dominic's head. I don't think he's going to be getting into TJ's head as easily. So I do think if TJ wins, it's by decision.
Oh, wow. So you think there's going to be a new champion?
I think so, man. I love Cody Garbrandt, man, but I think as smart as I know Dwayne is, he's a good friend of, an old coach of mine, and as smart as of a coach as Dwayne is, he's not going to let TJ go in there and get in any type of brawling situations with Cody. They're not dumb. They respect Cody as a fighter. Whether or not they like him as a person is completely different, but they're going to know, Cody's out there in mean business. He's going to go in there. If he hits you, he's going to knock you out. It's as simple as that. They will devise a game plan to just kind of eliminate the knockout threat at least. And, Cody's tough, man. He's, like I said, he's probably my number 2 favorite bantamweight right behind TJ. And it's going to be a really good fight, but I just see TJ winning by decision. I don't see him finishing Cody, but I do see him winning by decision.
And last but not least, just because it just got announced and it's in your weight class, Dominic Cruz is taking on Jimmy Rivera. You know the winner's gonna get a title shot after this. I mean, who do you think is gonna emerge the number 1 contender?
I can never vote against Dominic Cruz, man. I think the only fights I've ever voted against Dominic Cruz is the Cody Garbrandt fight and the TJ Dillashaw fight. But it's hard. It's really hard to vote against Dominic Cruz. I love Jimmy Rivera. Great fighter. But Dominic Cruz, in my opinion at least, has the judges already on his side. He's the only fighter I know that can back up, and it'll be looked at as he's controlling the ring because that's how he fights. Because of that, I would never. I mean, it's very rare that I'd give anyone the edge over Dominic Cruz, so I'm going to have to pick Dominic Cruz. And we all know Dominic Cruz is a finisher, so I'm going to go by Dominic Cruz by decision.
Well, Damien, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me right here, right now on Half the Battle. It's been an absolute pleasure. Man, I mean, redemption, you said what you were going to do, and you went out there and you did it. Congrats, man. Let the fans know where they can follow you, and any message for them, go ahead.
Hey, man, thank you once again for having me on there. I want to make a shout out to my little brother, Jamar Whitehead, for his amazing performance that Friday night. Also, my teammate, Diego Bautista. My teammate, Chaz Walton, he's fighting for the Titan belt in November. Shout out to all my coaches, past, present, doesn't matter. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Babyface MMA, on Instagram at Damien_Whitehead, or on Facebook, you just follow me at Damien Whitehead. That's it, man. Thank you once again for having me on.
You got it, brother. Thanks again for the time, and best of luck in the next step, man.
Thank you, man.